The Pittsburgh Steelers are not expected to re-sign two of their starting offensive line for next season. One is James Daniels, offensive guard, and the second is Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle. So these guys have been starters for multiple years on the Pittsburgh Steelers now and have been a big component of their offense line, but it seems as though the time for the Steelers to move on is now. They're both set to become free agents, and per Gary Dulac, they're set to move on and sign somewhere else, as the Steelers won't be offering a contract extension to them. So Gary Dulac, a Steelers insider who answers questions about the Steelers in his mailbag, he answered a question about the Steelers offense line and the Steelers free agents. And he basically said that Dan Moore Jr. and James Daniels won't be back for the Steelers. And when you look at this, James Daniels, he got injured right at the beginning of the season. A season-ending injury, a major injury. And he was shut down, needed surgery, and the Steelers, they're probably not expected to re-sign him because of the injury, but also because of the money that he will be making because he is an amazing talent at the offensive guard position. Another reason why they won't be signing Dan Moore Jr. per Gary Dulac is because he's about to get paid a lot. You might not think of Dan Moore Jr. as a big-time name at the left tackle position, but Gary Dulac says that he expects Dan Moore Jr. to get paid a lot in the free agency period, and the Steelers won't be offering that amount to him. So, when looking at this means the Pittsburgh Steelers will be moving on. More than likely, we'll have Broderick Jones at left tackle, Troy Fautanu at right tackle, and then Mason McCormick more than likely sticking at right guard, unless they move him over to left guard and Isaac Seumalo switches over. You never know, but that's more than likely what the Pittsburgh Steelers offense line is going to be looking like. And to be honest, this is what we wanted. We wanted Dan Moore Jr. to be replaced by Broderick Jones, based off of Broderick Jones being in his natural position. This is something we've been asking for many years now. From Broderick Jones at left tackle for the 2 years he's been on the team, we wanted him to be at left tackle, play his natural position, but the Steelers were so determined to play him at right tackle. So now with Dan Moore Jr. being gone and set to become a free agent and more likely gone, it'll open the window for Broderick Jones to play left tackle. But at the same time, you have to look at this and say, if you weren't expecting to re-sign Dan Moore Jr. anyway, because he was going to make a huge contract in free agency and you weren't willing to pay him, and you knew this, why wouldn't you play Broderick Jones at left tackle anyway? You know that he's going to be your franchise left tackle. You draft him in the first round for a reason. You knew what he has in terms of a development process, in terms of the skill set. You studied him, you broke him down, and you were able to draft him in the first round for a reason. So why wouldn't you go that route earlier instead of playing Dan Moore Jr. another whole year at left tackle and waste another year of Broderick Jones at right tackle for no reason? Now it's a year later, 2 years later, and you're going to have to flip him at positions, and now he's going to be a raw prospect at left tackle now, when he could have already had some years under his belt at that position. That's just something that just doesn't make sense. But obviously a move the Pittsburgh Steelers are now going to make per Gary Dulac in terms of letting Dan Moore Jr. go. Now looking at James Daniels, this one was to be expected because James Daniels, the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they signed him in free agency from the Bears back in the day, they got a steal in him. Right away, we all knew that was a really great pickup. He was a really good offense lineman, and when they got him a 3-year contract, it was a steal at the price they got him for. And right away, he made an impact for this team. He absolutely changed the offense line and was able to be kind of the lone star of the group. When everyone else was doing bad, he was the one standing out. So we all knew that he, when his contract was over, more than likely will be paid as one of the highest offensive guards in the NFL. I know it may be different now because he's come off injury, but he's probably still expected to make a lot. So this one was expected because he will probably be making way too much money that the Pittsburgh Steelers will not be able to pay in terms of one of the top guards in the NFL. So this one was to be expected, and that's why the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted Mason McCormick in the 4th round, and they double dipped at the offense line position, or triple dipped actually, in terms of Troy Fautanu, Zach Frazier, and then Mason McCormick, because they're expecting all these changes on the offense line. They weren't going to draft these guys for no reason. We may have been looking at the draft and was like, why did they draft a backup? Why did they draft a backup here? Well, they're probably looking to the future saying, hey, we know Dan Moore Jr. is going to be gone. We know James Daniels is going to be gone. So we need to draft these players now who we think could be starters a year from now when they leave in free agency. and that's what they did. So Mason McCormick, he was a really good offensive lineman this season. A really big surprise in terms of what he did, especially as a 4th-round talent, stepping in right away and playing good. So him coming in, having another whole year under his belt, another whole training staff as training camp as a starter, it's gonna be really good for his development. And I really like what I've seen from him, and he could be a really good replacement for James Daniels. Even though James Daniels is one of the best, him leaving, it opens the door for Mason McCormick, who did a really good job and hopefully could develop as a really good player in this league. It's obviously really tough for a player in James Daniels to get injured in his contract season in terms of he was going to make a lot, and you don't know if this doesn't impact his market in any way. It's really a tough situation for him, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're probably going to move on per Gary Dulac from both those guys, Dan Moore Jr. and James Daniels, which now means that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have another basically entire switch at the offense line position. They're going to be making so many adjustments. Once they starting to get stuff done and starting to have better protection in terms of passing blocking and also run blocking, now things are going to switch up again. They're going to go young on offensive line, and the only real veteran is going to be Isaac Seumalo. They're going to have basically 2 rookies at tackles, because this is now going to be Broderick Jones' first year at left tackle. Even though this is his 3rd season, first year at left tackle, basically a rookie, raw prospect there. And then now you have Troy Fautanu, basically missed his entire rookie season, so now it's going to be another rookie basically at right tackle, even though it's a 2nd year. And then you're going to have Mason McCormick coming back 2nd year, and then you're going to have Zach Frazier 2nd year at center. So the real only veteran is going to be Isaac Seumalo of the group, and now he's going to probably be in his contract year as well this upcoming season, and you don't know what's the future's going to hold for him the next year. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're turning a new leaf at the offense line position, but now it's going to be the same offensive line coach as well. So even though there's new players in different roles for the Steelers, it's another year of them on the team, and Pat Myers going to have to figure it out. We all wanted the Steelers to switch offense lines coaches, but they probably didn't want to do that because they know they want to get used to his kind of style, and they don't want to have to switch completely everything. There's going to be a lot of guys switching positions, so they probably didn't want to switch offensive line coaches on top of that, along with switching positions. But to be honest, I think this is for the better. You drafted these guys for a reason. You drafted Troy Fautanu in the 1st round for a reason, to be the starter. You drafted Broderick Jones and moved up in the draft, traded up for him to be a starter. You picked Zach Frazier in the 2nd round for him to be the starter. You signed Isaac Seumalo for him to be a starter. And then you drafted Mason McCormick to take over when James Daniels left to become a starter. So all these moves they've made for them to be a starter, and it's only really tough that this happened now. We should have had this, to be honest, last season to start the year in terms of these guys starting, other than Mason McCormick, and you put James Daniels in there instead. It should have been this group. Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, and then James Daniels and Troy Fautanu. That should have been the starting list. But no, they went a different route. They had Nate Herbig at center, who got injured, and then Zach Frazier had to come along in the start. They had James Daniels, who was a starter, obviously, and then they had Dan Moore Jr. in there. We all wanted Dan Moore Jr. to not be the starter. We wanted Broderick Jones to play his natural position. Well, we're finally going to get to see what Broderick Jones is made of, and to see if he's able to turn stuff around and become an actual good offense lineman in this league. Or is that raw prospect done, and this is his finished product? We all seen the penalties, we all seen the other stuff along with him that comes along with him. So hopefully now at his natural position, he's able to get it done. But anyway, that's this topic for today. And Gary Dulac says the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't expecting to re-sign those guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about that. And do you believe the Pittsburgh Steelers should have moved on from these guys earlier to get these rookies and to get these 3rd-year guys actually playing their natural position instead of waiting this long for no reason if you weren't planning on re-signing these guys anyway? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this topic. But all in all, I think these players playing their natural position will bring the best out of them and hopefully turn this team around in terms of finally getting a running game going and finally getting the pass blocking going. Playing your natural positions and what you're used to is a big deal, and it's a complete difference when you're not comfortable in what you're doing at a high level. And also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, reports, everything surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. I cover it, so make sure you stay tuned to this channel for this whole offseason and free agency, which is going to start soon. basically within the next month. And also the draft process, I'm covering it all. So subscribe, turn notifications, and until next time, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.